Greetings, this is Tariq X with National Network View. On tonight's broadcast, our NNV reporter Nina Shabazz will be joining us to discuss our brothers and sisters in the Muslim Ummah globally that are dealing with difficult situations within the pandemic. Ipinoluwa Adedokun, CEO and founder of Apparel Co., will discuss his clothing line that is providing youth opportunities to build wealth and support world missions. Before we delve into the top news, let's do a recap on the current events we've covered this week. On yesterday's show, Tony Muhammad discussed the history of colonialism in Myanmar, the country formerly known as Burma.
The ousted leader, where is she? Has she fled the country?
According to the reports, they are all on house arrest, but there are no secret court that we know of in regards to their trial. According to the BBC, Ms. Kia originally faced 2 charges of illegally importing radio and communication devices, violating Myanmar's emergency COVID-19 laws. But a further 2 charges were later added. She was accused of using illegal communication equipment and causing fear and alarm, violating the National Disaster Act. That's according to the military. So as to that, we could just say that that was the justification. As to what exactly is really taking place,
right.
I think time will tell exactly what exactly is taking place.
Tamu Asir, Martin Bay, and Kiera Adams with Compton Community Garden shared how the community garden is positively impacting and strengthening the community.
Okay. I wanted to know how long has the community garden been operating?
So the community garden has been operating since 2013.
It started with Dr. Ross, our mentor that you've seen in the previous video. He worked with this organization to actually create the space here, along with about 14 other community gardens in Los Angeles. And the goal with creating Compton Community Garden was actually to combat obesity and food insecurity in our neighborhoods. And from there, he partnered with at-risk youth to get them involved and give them something productive to do in the community. Yeah. And that's when our organization, Holistic Divine Innovations, came on board to actually help sustain the place and add organization and structure to what you guys all see now as the garden.
Yeah.
Brother Abdul Malik Muhammad, top fisherman in the Nation of Islam, discussed the death of DMX and others not long after receiving a COVID-19 vaccine and how people can rise above drug addiction with prayer and fasting.
How did you make it out? Was it, in fact, the minister who encouraged you or inspired you to get out of the drug trap?
The Honorable Miss Louis Farrakhan is the reason I got out of drugs, gang banging, womanizing, and everything that the Black community was doing. I was a part of that. It was a fun thing, but the Minister Farrakhan's word went out and did not come back void when it took place in Brother Warren 2X at that time's heart, who I'm now, Abdul Malik. Minister Farrakhan is the only solution. He showed me the power of prayer and fasting. And if the people are not making 5 prayers a day and fasting, you need to rush yourself to the hospital. The hospital is prayer and fasting, the foundation to success. And you should, and if I can give them the number to it, they could definitely have that too. But they need to rush to the hospital. If you're not making 5 prayers a day and doing some type of fasting with all these chemicals in the food that we're taking, you better come on with it and come up out of that situation. It helped me.
Sister Charlene Muhammad updated us on her Final Call News article on blood clots and the suspension of the COVID vaccines.
Can you speak on the significance of blood clots or just the significance of this particular side effect in relationship to the vaccine?
Sure. This side effect, the one that has been reported for AstraZeneca, which is also the same side effect that's being reported for Johnson & Johnson, causes blood drainage from the brain. And there's also reports that it causes clotting in the abdomen. And at least 18 of AstraZeneca's reporting, 18 people have died. That's as of last week. We don't know what the numbers are today, but it's very serious. Blood clotting is serious, but this is drainage from the brain. There have been reports of people who have experienced clotting saying they have excruciating headaches, like beyond migraine headaches. So it's deadly. It can be very deadly.
Dr. Akili discussed the coronavirus variants and the wave of new COVID cases.
On average, about 63,000 COVID cases are reported per day, and there have been 5,000 hospital admissions per day in the last 7 days. Are we in the midst of a fourth wave?
Based on what I'm seeing, I would say yes. The numbers are like all of us are saying, that they're starting to rise again, and it seems like each time these governors or these regulators decide to open back up cities and states, there is a rise seemingly in conjunction with that opening. And so because of the effect of these variants and the way that they are supposedly bringing in higher rates of disease, more serious disease, and increased rates of disease, then I think many healthcare workers especially are considering this another wave. I would, it's kind of difficult for me to agree with 4, because it seems to me like there's been more than that, but that's right. That's the typical number that we get from the medical community, is that this is potentially the 4th wave.
Dr. Akili educated us about the meaning of Ramadan, commemorated by Muslims throughout the world during this holy month and practicing of fasting.
What are your primary suggestions for those who have no limitations during Ramadan?
Yeah, so my suggestion is that in most places in the world, I think, well, let me not say the world, I've just mostly researched the United States. Mostly in the United States, we'll be fasting from 14 to 16 hours. When you go long periods of time in between meals like that, and you haven't had anything to drink, and most importantly, I'm talking about water, the most important thing that we should do in the morning before we start to fast, and the most important thing that we should do when we break the fast, is hydrate. And hydration is different just drinking water. If you open a bottle of water and just drink, that's good for you. But hydration tends to have the water be in the body, in the cells, longer periods of time, which helps with cleansing, which helps with all of the processes of the body that happen when we're giving it rest. And so that's my biggest suggestion. Make sure you're choosing the right foods. As the Honorable Elijah Muhammad says, if you're going to eat meat, you probably should stick with fish, which is the easiest meat to digest. And then if we're eating the right type of foods, bean soup, whole milk, good fruits and vegetables that should be organic, those long periods of time in between eating will give us a lot of ability to heal and make the body much better in 30 days.
Doshan Farad and Eric Muhammad discussed the latest in the ongoing murder trial of Derek Chauvin, charged with killing George Floyd.
So from your perspective, is there a correlation between these efforts to defund the police department and this rise in violence in America?
No, it's absolutely not. And I say, I want y'all to watch this movie called Them, and I say, as they said on Them, the white man is the devil, right? It's beloved, it's who he is. It's his nature. And you create a system, right? And then now you have to police that system. And this is how they police that system. So no, to your answer, there is no connection between defunding the police and violence. They are who they are. They committed the violence and they still getting paid.
Eric Muhammad discussed the death of hip-hop music artist DMX and reminded us that his family members said he recently received the COVID vaccine.
Why do you think a country like America, that's considered to be a world power, it leads the world in addictions, according to a 2019 study?
You know, the Quran says, when an unrighteous man brings you news, look carefully into it, lest you harm a people in ignorance and then be sorry for what you did. And I know the clip started out with saying that our brother died because of a heart attack with drug use. But there was another clip that also came out where a family member said that he took the vaccine, a week earlier, right? And then so now what happens is we start to run on certain things. But to go to your question, is because, America is what it is. It is a pharmaceutical company where it's only 2 countries, I can't think of the name right now, where you cannot market directly to the people. But America, as we turn on the television every day, we are seeing them market directly to the people these drugs, because they want to keep the people, especially Black people, in a different state other than reaching our goal and being who God created us to be.
Doshan Farad discussed how the government responds to the drug addiction of Blacks in comparison to its response to the opioid crisis.
And what should be the response of Black leadership when they're seeing that they're making the legislation less punitive for whites, but when it was for Blacks, you didn't see that compassion. We were super predators.
For those, and I'm glad you pointed that out, Brother Willie, because we've definitely seen the concern of the opiate crisis for the past decade. And as a journalist, I can't tell you how many times that I've been contacted to do stories on the opiate crisis, interview this person dealing with the opiate crisis. And of course, this didn't become an issue until white kids in the suburbs begin to OD in particular. What I say is those of us who believe in voting, this is where the term all politics are local comes in. We have to stay on our local city council people. We have to stay on our state representatives, our senators, and our Congress, and we have to form powerful voting blocks that hold these politicians accountable, these Democrats in particular, because of the fact that the Democratic Party is always coming to us. Just like we say we ought to make demands of those of us who are reparations advocates, when we say we ought to hold Democrats and other politicians accountable for getting us reparations, we ought to take the same position when it comes to legislation that deals with these unjust drug laws that that were actually brought about, of course, during the 1980s, as Reverend Jesse Jackson pointed out.
Brother Willie Muhammad, host of I Have a Testimony, spoke with Arthur Reed about his personal testimonies and interactions with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
How has the guidance and how does the guidance of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan aid you in the work that you're doing?
Well, as you know, I've met with the minister several times. I've been blessed to get guidance from him personally. And one of those pictures that you had where I'm sitting there crying is me confessing to the minister, I'm with you 100%, Brother Minister, but I'm not as strong as I would like to be in certain areas, and that's one of the things that, that made me have the utmost love and respect for the minister. When the minister told me, he said, you're a great man, but you're going to be really, really great. And he said, man, Allah is patient. So work on yourself, continue to work on yourself, because Allah has touched you. And I see those things happening every day.
Robert Muhammad spoke with student minister Patrick Muhammad regarding current events in the Suez Canal and supply chain distributions.
How fragile is the American supply chain? And do you think more fissures or cracks will be discovered during the pandemic? And if so, could famine very well be one of them, and why?
Oh, yes. The writings are on the wall, and we are seeing it. We're actually living the scriptures. We're actually living prophecy. The book of Luke and the Bible talks about, and great earthquakes shall be in diverse places, in famines, in pestilences, in fearful sights, and great signs shall there be from heaven. And then Matthew, Jesus himself said, for nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. And he says this is the beginning of sorrow.
Let us pause for announcements from our sponsors. When we return, our Global View co-host Nina Shabazz will be on to talk about Cuba and how the pandemic has affected living there. We'll be right back.
Be a part of the force that powers truth in journalism. Your support helps us to highlight solutions for a brighter tomorrow. Go to nnvnews.com/donate.
This is Sister Sajida Muhammad. We are proud to announce that the Sajda House commemorative Elijah coins are finally here. This priceless heirloom, made from recycled copper from the messenger's home, is now available at sajdahouse.com.
The hashtag Bank Black social media campaign made strides not only in revolutionizing how we bank, but also how we think. The movement inspired thousands of African Americans across the country to transfer or deposit millions of dollars into Black-owned banks. These are banks that will invest in urban communities, employ African Americans, support Black businesses, and inspire Black home ownership. This is a very proud moment for our culture as we are taking small, but significant, steps towards building Black power through Black wealth.
Please share your thoughts with us in the comment section below. Follow us on social media at NNV News, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel at National Network View. I am Anissa Muhammad with NNVnews.com.
Today, during this Ramadan edition of the broadcast, we will be discussing our brothers and sisters in the Muslim Ummah that are dealing with really difficult situations. Nina has spoken with her friend and brother in Cuba and asked how the pandemic affected everyday life on the island.
If you're living here and you need to buy groceries just like bread, milks, some milks, and yogurt, cheese, you need first to take a long walk in your neighborhood and try to find in the shop stores that are placed in your neighborhood what you need. Maybe what you need is not in your neighborhood. You need to walk and find what you need in another neighborhood that have nothing to do with your own neighborhood. Sometimes you can find them what you need in another shop stores that are in another neighborhoods. But first, you cannot go inside the shop store and buy what you need, because many persons need what you need. You need to do first a very big line before buying what you need. You can take here in this line 5 hours, 6 hours, maybe less. Nobody knows.
Joining us today, we have Sister Nina Shabazz. How you doing today?
I'm doing well, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic.
Ramadan Mubarak.
Ramadan Kareem, sister. So,
yes, sir.
I see here, Sister Nina, I understand that you traveled to Cuba before the pandemic. How was the island, how has the island, been impacted by the pandemic?
Well, when I went to the island previously, there was great enthusiasm. At the time, President Obama was still in office, and the Cubans were elated. They were celebrating as much as we were because of the fact that he had, he lifted policies to ease some of the really strict embargoes. This embargo has been in place for 60 plus years. And so it's really crippled the economy in Cuba. It's literally, they're frozen in time, essentially. And so when we went over there was great enthusiasm that things were beginning to look up for the Cuban people. You saw a lot more people investing in Airbnbs, and we actually stayed with a local family instead of a hotel chain. We decided to, put the money in the local economy and be part of the local community. And so there was a lot of enthusiasm for enterprise. And as you know, or may know, that the embargo is not just America not trading with Cuba, but America has forcibly dictated to other countries that they cannot trade. They cannot do anything, any kind of business transactions that would, bring Cuba up out of its economic quagmire. And so before the pandemic, things were financially stringent. And so, as you can see now, things are just a lot worse. And as Brother Usman, who actually met at Juma prayer when I went to Cuba. And so I think it's important for us to really, really, really think about during this Ramadan, the plight that not just, our brothers and sisters throughout the diaspora in the Muslim Ummah, but I think it's important for us to just in general think about human suffering and the ways in which we can be a part to maybe lift some of that suffering.
No, absolutely. Because just from watching the video and reading the article that you sent me, I could see that, they're having a hard time or hard trouble getting food, getting adequate amount of groceries in, especially for those who are participating, in this holy month of Ramadan. I know it could be a struggle to not be able to eat an adequate amount of foods after you've already been fasting throughout the whole day. So I already know that is definitely a burden on them going on at this time. And, after watching the video with your friend and your brother Usman, what is the general mood of the people that he has encountered there?
Well, the general mood, from what I had a discussion with him, people are hurting. People are, they are walking in a little bit more fear. As with the previous administration, they a lot of the hope that they had, during President Obama's tenure was completely lost during the previous administration. I mean, we see the lines, we see that, and this is, we saw lines like this here in America. And can you imagine, essentially being cut off from all other countries being able to trade with you, and that essentially cripples your community. And so the mood is somber. The mood is, they're desperate. But now I think with this new administration, there's a little glimmer of hope that things may return, and Americans can travel there a little bit more. And so that's the hope.
Right. Yeah, that's I could only imagine, because as we could remember, I know here in Texas it was a struggle to get our basic necessities whenever the pandemic first hit. Toilet paper, tissue, paper towel, bread, milk, eggs, whatever it was. Sometimes it's still scarce, and we don't have the same policies put on us as Cuba does. So I can only imagine what it's like trying to just get the basic needs and necessities that you need just to live. And then, like I said before, not alone break your fast after you haven't ate all day, but yet you come home and all you have is a little bit of something to get you through to the next day. And I can definitely understand how difficult that could really be. And do you think that the pandemic will have a long-term impact on the people even after the pandemic?
Well, one of the things about the Cuban people, as they are a part of our people, and they are the part of the global majority, as are the original man and woman of the planet. They're very resilient. And one of the things that that I did see is that they some of them had made almost a business out of waiting in the long lines. And so very enterprising people. But one of the things that I think has given them hope is the fact that Cuban has a remarkable medical community, medical background, and you have doctors from all over the world actually being trained in their medical facilities. Wow. And so they're on the fast track actually of having their own vaccine. They are actually in the third, I believe it's the third wave of human trials for their new vaccine. And so like I said, the Cuban people are very resilient, and so they will be the first Latin America country to develop their own vaccines independent of anyone in the West. And there already are partnerships from Iran. I believe other Latin American countries are, lining up for their vaccines because, as we can see, the Cuban people have never had an agenda of depopulation, and they've always put the health of their residents first and foremost. And so, as they do have, they've made amazing strides in medical advancement. As a matter of fact, China flew a bunch of Cuban doctors when the pandemic first broke out to help them get, the pandemic on the wraps. And China is essentially almost back. It's basically like pre-pandemic activity. And so, in terms of the lasting economic effect, I think with the vaccines, I believe the trials will be finished and they'll be ready for their population to be vaccinated. There is talk of medical tourism. And so medical tourism is a multi-billion-dollar industry. And so, as I was saying, Cuba's like the phoenix. It comes up out of the ashes, despite of what the West has put on it to strangle its economy. And so, medical vaccines from Cuba will be a very hot thing. They're believing come summer. And so, I think that they will be able to make up some of the inroads of what was lost during the pandemic and make strides to to open themselves up to the rest of the world. And it's good to see that a lot of countries actually did ignore America when they were told to to not take Cuba seriously. As a matter of fact, their lung cancer vaccine is in test trials right here in New York and in the USA. So they are a major player in terms of medical advancement.
Wow. When you mentioned resilience, that definitely reminded me of what you were saying or what you touched on in the article about how they made an entrepreneurial opportunity for themselves despite everything that was going on. And then, as you talked about the medical tours, is that what you said again?
Medical tourism.
Yes. It's amazing though how sometimes things that we believe are hardships and different trials and tribulations can help bring out something positive, or as you expressed it, the phoenix coming out of the ashes. And so, my prayers to Cuba, because I believe that they are definitely going to shape something beautiful out of this horrific situation that's going on right now. And, it's with everything going on, I guess I could say, just do you have plans to travel back there anytime soon?
Actually, I do. Just haven't been in touch with Brother Usman for the last couple of years. We've kept in touch because he was our tour guide the first time we went to Cuba. And so the group of us, there is an RN on our team that was with us last time. And so we do intend to go back. We do intend to continue to exchange and dialogue with our brothers and sisters there, and hopefully really start something in terms of enterprising. There's some other links that the brother sent me that Cuba's actually very interested in doing different types of businesses and encouraging the world, if they want to come do business in Cuba. This is a really good time to start looking. And so we're hoping that the State Department under the new administration will start loosening some of the cords that America has placed on citizens being able to travel there freely, and then we'll be able to book a trip there within the next year.
Beautiful. That's beautiful. Well, I thank you, Sister Nina, for taking the time out today to have this great discussion with us, and I appreciate your amazing and wonderful answers to these questions. It really gave me a lot of clarity, and I'm sure it gave a lot of the guest viewers some clarity as well.
Thank you. It was my pleasure.
Thank you. You have a wonderful night.
Thank you. You too as well.
Thank you. All right. Let us pause for announcements from our sponsors, and then we'll be bringing on Ipinoluwa Adedokun, and we'll be talking about his clothing business and the opportunities he is providing. We'll be right back.
Be a part of the force that powers truth in journalism. Go to nnvnews.com/donate.
Thank you for tuning in to NNV News. Please share your thoughts with us in the comments section below. Follow us on social media at NNV News, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel, National Network View. This is Clifton Muhammad with nnvnews.com.
Worldwide, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Download the Final Call Radio app and take us everywhere. On your phone, on your computer, on your tablet, on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. You can also log on to finalcall.com and click the Listen Live button, or finalcallradio.com. Final Call Radio, the official voice of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam.
This is Sister Sajda Muhammad. We are proud to announce that the Sajda House commemorative Elijah coins are finally here. As we renovate and restore the former home of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, we have recycled the old copper gutters and downspouts and created a 1-ounce 39mm coin made of 100% pure copper. Each coin is professionally graded and has its own barcode and registration number. This priceless heirloom, made from recycled copper from the messenger's home, is now available at sajdahouse.com.
The youth is the solution. Youth are creating their own opportunities and organizations that support the mission and work of building the world of the future.
You know, I think the number one piece of advice I have for a 19-year-old is always patience. I think for a lot of us here, most of us, not everybody, there's some youngsters in the crowd, but we've all been there. And I think the impatience so many of us have at 19 tends to be the detrimental aspect of our personality. I think there's way too much wanting it now, which then leads to very short-term behavior. And I always say to a lot of my friends, I'm like, look, there's a very big difference between being rich and being wealthy if we're talking about money within the context of the business. And really, normally, it's predicated on people that are thinking in a 20 or 30-year window versus people that are thinking in a 20 or 30-minute window.
Joining us today is Ipinoluwa Adedokun, CEO and founder of World Apparel Co. Greetings, my brother. How you doing today? Can't hear you.
Hi, how are you doing today? I'm sorry about that.
There you go. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Doing fantastic, my brother. Fantastic, man. I thank you for taking the time out today to join us on the show so that we can kind of discuss, you know, just what it is around World Apparel and what do you have to offer the world with apparel, and, you know, just kind of the impacts that we are making or that you are making with this brand here. So, you know, as a CEO and founder of World Apparel Co., what was your inspiration for starting a clothing apparel company, and how long has World Apparel been in business?
Well, to begin with, what started it, I don't know if you guys recall, but it was about a couple of years ago in Dallas, Texas. There was a police shooting. It was pretty big. It was right after I believe it was the murder of Eric Gardner, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, but very similar situation to my brother George Floyd, God rest his soul, where he was brutally murdered by police. And so another man took actions into his hands and during protesting in Dallas, shot a couple of police officers. Now it was very odd, very strange, right? For some reason, my mind, my heart went out to those kids immediately. The kids of the police officers that were wounded, right? And in this age that we're in right now, we don't like the police as a community. So but my heart just went out to those kids immediately, and I wanted to help them. Fast forward the story, I wanted to help them. I wasn't able to get in contact with them, with my brother Tariq. I don't know if Tariq has told y'all, but he's the COO of World Apparel. So me and him like this. But we tried to reach them, and we didn't get a hold of them. So we decided, hey, let's help some other kids. And we helped out the Promise House Orphanage here in South Dallas and Oak Cliff. Helped them with a couple toys, some video games, and whatever else we could help them with, necessities. It was a great experience, but that catapulted us towards what we're doing today, which is starting programs, scholarships, providing resources to people in need, especially the youth. And we've been doing this for about almost 4 years now. I think it'll be 4 years this coming October.
5 years, actually.
5 years. 5 years.
Yeah,
5 years this coming October. Yeah.
No, actually, absolutely, man. It's been a wonderful journey. And yes, I am the COO of World Apparel. And it has definitely been a beautiful journey. And it was amazing how, one thought and one idea that we had to help a specific group turn into a different mission, and how it has grown to something just much more, just bigger and much more beautiful today. But just, starting out in the beginning, how did you generate the capital to start the business? Was it difficult to obtain funding for your clothing company?
Oh man, the funding part, that's the funny part. The funding part is the funny. I remember at the time, it was freshman year of college, summer going into sophomore year. We were back in town. Everyone's looking for a job, trying to get money to, make sure we get the next fresh pair of kicks, clothes, get ready for next school semester. And I believe it was that summer. Yeah, it was that summer when that shooting happened. But at the time, I was working at DFW Airport, actually working valet. And I was making very good money, getting lots of tips, running cars. That was probably the most money I've ever made in that point in my life ever. And I remember, I think I saved up close to about $2,000 to $3,000. And this shooting happened, and I wanted to go buy, I think, a game system and some clothes and stuff, but my mind changed. God put that idea into my head, and I've been running with it since. And it's been a blessing. It's been a great opportunity so far.
Absolutely. And for those who don't know, I'm not sure if you touched on this part, the reason why the idea changed initially, which is why, we have to give praise to God, because it's crazy, or it's amazing on how you go on one path and how God directs you to a different path. And but what happened was pretty much, we tried to get in contact with the families. We couldn't, but then we weren't going to stop, but then we ended up coming across some information that pretty much stated that these families were given like millions of dollars already.
Yeah.
So we were like, it's no point in preaching to the choir, if you will, just giving to them and they're already taken care of. Let's really give these toys or whatever it is that we, at the time we were like, whatever we can give to some children who really need it. And that's how we ended up getting in contact with the Promise House, because we were able to figure out somewhere where children were actually in need.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. And so, that kind of goes to the next point, which is, World Apparel's slogan is "The youth is the solution." So why did you choose that slogan, and what role are the youth playing with your organization and in the mission of the work that you do?
So yeah, just to piggyback off what you said. So we redirected those resources towards people who really needed it. And then at that time, my mind just started to just dig deeper. Like, what else can we do? How far can we take this? Who else can we reach that can spark the generation of change or healing or aid to a foreign country? Long story short, I'm from Nigeria. I was born in Nigeria, and I'm blessed to be here in the States, as corrupt as it may be, but I'm blessed to be here. And it just resonated with me that the youth is so important.
Mm-hmm.
What if we miss out on a kid whose job is to, have the perfect all natural cure to cancer, but that kid doesn't have food for tomorrow, and so it just made me think and gave me and Tariq drive to, we want to go and help all the kids of the world that are in need, whatever kind of resource whether it be education, proper healthcare, love is a big thing. Whatever it may be, we want to help provide that through the help of other youths. Hence why we make clothes. If you all are aware, fashion is a big part of expense for the youth. So we kind of our goal is to change the mindset, where as far as we can go buy a Gucci bag, or we can go buy a Louis Vuitton shirt, for X amount of dollars. Why don't we just, support this business that's has some very good merch, and use that money instead of just pocketing it, let's give it back and help people in need. And so that's why we came up with the youth as a solution. We want to help those youth that need the help, and we're using the youth to help fund that help for the youth,
Absolutely.
So that's why we came up with the youth as the solution, because we know.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. We're most definitely the solution there. And just a quick background story. Me and Ippy, it's amazing how just how God places people in your lives as quick hints, and then brings them back 360 down the future path. Me and Ippy, actually, we went to the same high school together, and we had that same English class. I can't remember if it was senior year or junior year.
Mr. Wayne.
No,
senior year, Mr. Wayne.
Miss Epps.
Miss Epps. Oh yeah, we did have Miss Epps. Yeah.
I can't remember if that was junior year or senior year, but that's beside the point. We had to do a project together, and we were placed as project partners, and we ended up like doing one of the best projects in the class, working together like beautifully. And after that, we were always cool in high school, but we never worked together again. And then it comes back around, college comes, and me and Ippy, he hit me up and was like, "Hey man, I got this brand I'm putting together, and I really love what you're doing. And your heart and your mindset that you have for the community is in line with what I have." And me and him had a discussion, and I just knew that what he was putting together was something that I wanted to be a part of, and that I wanted to help grow and help impact the community and help impact the world eventually. So that's just a little quick background and what, how we even got started together and how things happen, no coincidence, but coincidentally, for lack of better words. And so with all that being said, there's a portion of these proceeds that, because we're giving back, we sell clothes and then we're giving back. So what portion of these proceeds from the sales of our clothing line go to help support charities? And give us a few examples of charities that we've helped in our community.
Yeah, absolutely. So 100%. Me, myself, the team, Tariq, Mr. A. Chambers, none of us have pocketed a dime from anything that we've sold or made or was given to us by charity from another, org that wanted to help, or another business that wanted to help. None of it has been pocketed. We don't believe in that. This is 100% nonprofit. I don't pay myself. I work a 9 to 5, so that's how I pay myself. But as far as the projects that we've done, so I'll start from the beginning. First one was Promise House Orphanage, Dallas, Texas. We raised a couple $100, not much, not many. I think it was $500. That's what we raised probably, and we spent $300 of it on toys and coloring books and video games for the kids that Christmas. And we gave the Promise House a check of $200 for them to purchase, any type of miscellaneous things that they needed for the kids. And they loved it. It was great. And we're going to hear about them again when I go through the circle. But Promise House Orphanage first, and then After that, the Flint situation started to really gain media attention. We started reaching out to people out there in Flint, Michigan, Little Miss Flint, the pastor of, I forget the church. I believe it was, do you remember, Drew?
I think it's Prince of Peace.
Prince of Peace, yes. Prince of Peace Church out there in Flint, Michigan. We reached out to them. Great pastor, great family. They assisted me and another friend of ours named Roderick when we went up there. But not to get ahead of myself. While we were on this mission to get to Flint, right, and help with the water situation, the hurricane hits Houston. And Houston is, if you don't know, it's about 4 hours away from Dallas, Texas. And it's basically our brother. Houston is Dallas's brother. Right.
I'm gonna cut you off, my brother. So
no, you're good.
No, definitely. Hold on to that story there. We're definitely gonna come right back to that. We're gonna take a quick pause for our announcements from our sponsors, and then we're gonna bring you right back on. We're gonna jump right back into that Houston hurricane story, my brother. Thank you.
Be a part of the force that powers truth in journalism. Your support helps us to highlight solutions for a brighter tomorrow. Go to nnvnews.com/donate.
Asiatic Minds, online education, helping our children to discover their God-given skills, gifts, talents, and passion that will allow them to see their greatness, as well as the greatness of our people, and upon discovering that greatness, infusing them with the desire to use it for the betterment of themselves, their families, our people, and the world. Call now, 502-219-4848. Greetings from National Network View. This week's Final Call cover story report honors the spirit and the life of the great DMX. Earl Simmons, better known as DMX, has passed away. The acronym DMX stands for Dark Man X. The great rapper, songwriter, and actor will be missed. He was the first artist to debut an album at #1 5 times in a row on the Billboard charts. Overall, DMX has sold over 74 million records worldwide. His music inspired countless fans across the world. He was nothing less than a giant. The FCN Volume Number 28 edition features the middle page article by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. The message delivers words of comfort and care as we mourn the loss of DMX. To read more, subscribe to finalcalldigital.com and tune in to the all-new Final Call Radio. This is the NNVnews.com Final Call cover report.
So we are back here with Ipinoluwa Adedokun, and we are discussing World Apparel Co., a nonprofit clothing line in which we are using to help change the face of giving back to the community. So my brother, before we went on the break, you were discussing the story about Hurricane Harvey in Houston. So you can go ahead now and finish on that.
Yeah. So like I said, we're on our mission and path to get to Flint, Michigan. But it changed because the hurricane hit out of nowhere and we wanted help immediately. So I remember I hit up all my friends, all my boys. I say, hey, y'all, if y'all have extra clothes, and make sure it's nice. I don't want us to go down there sending people clothes with holes in them and stuff like that. So if you got some clothes, some sneakers, extra toothpaste, paper towels, toiletries, anything, let's load up this truck and let's go down to Houston. So on the weekend after I take my test, because I'm still in college at this time, during this time, after I take my test, we load up the truck with one of my other close friends. His name's Okur. Shout out to him. We loaded up his truck, went down to Houston and helped. I believe it was one of the first responders Red Cross sites. Helped them throughout the day with distributing donations. Provided the ones that we had ourselves, And we also went to 2 other different donation spots and donated some toiletries and clothes also. So that was pretty big. It was awesome. But it's something that we could do at the time. You know, we're still college kids. We don't have much money, much funds to do a lot of these things, but we did what we could. And then after that, the Flint, Michigan projects comes up. And that was the biggest one. I still say today that we've done. Our goal is to provide solutions. That's why we say the youth is a solution. We don't believe in trying to give large sums of money because a lot of times that money can get lost or written off by institution and it's gone. But the people who really need the money don't get the help. And Flint was a prime example of that. When we arrived to Flint, we were just so surprised at the downscale of urgency when we got there. There were these things called hotspots all over Flint. There at the time when the social media and media got attention to Flint, there were about 90 something hotspots all throughout Flint. When we got there, it was 5. And at that time, celebrities like Beyonce, Bruno Mars, a whole lot of people have donated to Flint, the city of Flint already. So why are the number of hotspots or resource locations decreasing? It doesn't make any sense to us. So we said, okay, what's the best way we can help? They said we need filters. A lot of people are just giving money, but we don't see the money. So I said, okay, cool. We're going to get filters and water bottles. And so by our fan base and our supporters of the World Team, shout out to you guys. We were able to raise off of that. We use it to fund our plane tickets to Flint. We've left on a Wednesday. Mind you, I'm still in school. So I told my professors, yo, I got to go. I got to leave. So we leave on a Wednesday. We come back on a Sunday. So we're out there in Flint for about 5 days, distributing water and installing shower head filters for the community. It was a blessing. Helped a lot of people. It was great. Really, truly enjoyed that project. And now we're on to our 3rd and 4th mission, I would say. We're kind of in between both of them. Haven't really announced much of it yet, but we are creating programs to combat human and children sex trafficking, providing awareness. We're launching a program called Operation Care Card coming soon. It's basically going to help fund women who have been involved in that life to get their gears going in a different path and help them, provide them with resources that they need. And our VENT program for mental health. People studying in the field, we want to help fund those people to do that. And a lot of people encourage athletes. They get the best encouragement from family and friends, but those people who want to be doctors, mental health doctors, therapists, social workers, we need to help push those people in our community too. So that's why we started that program.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And one thing that World Apparel prides themselves on is showing the youth. We provide solutions, but also showing the youth, that it doesn't take $1 million to make an impact in the community. So
100%.
How have we shown that it doesn't take an enormous amount of money or an enormous amount of connections and sponsorships to help put on or bring a program to life, put on an event and also give back to the community as well?
Yeah. Well, the first, sorry, can you reiterate the last part again?
So yes, sir. How did we show? What's an example of how we show that it doesn't take an enormous amount of money or sponsorships to help to bring a program to life, to put on an event, and also give back to the community as well?
Yeah, I want to say the best way we showed it was being transparent and actually starting. That would be my answer. Especially for anyone that is young and feel like they don't have the resources to do it, just start with what you have. I honestly believe that God gives us everything that we need. So where you at right now, God is giving you everything that you need, and you should be able to produce with that. because it's the fruits that it's the seeds that he's giving you, and he wants you to produce fruit with it. So I believe we did a real good job of doing that early on. Yeah, it's going to take sacrifice. It's not going to be looked as the coolest thing at the time, because the cool way to do it is wait till you become a millionaire or make thousands of dollars, then start giving to the needy and the community. But we took a different route. We said, why does that have to be the norm? Why can't we just do it the other way? And we did. And we've been very successful with it. And I love it every day. I think about it every day, what we do, and I love it.
Yes, sir. And so, you mentioned the scholarships for mental health. So what is it that made you turn a focus towards mental health and then want to provide these scholarships with those who are either dealing with mental health or who are studying in a field that deals with mental health?
Yeah, Vent. That's is something I had. See, Vent just talked about it. Shout out to Gerald. He's on our graphic design team. He creates all of our graphics. Dude's fire. But mental health is a huge problem. Depression is starting to become the leading cause of death. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but for the youth, I don't want to say it's the leading, but it's growing, and it's going crazy since social media and all these things have been, starting to become more popular. So, in regards to the youth, our mental health is pretty weak compared to what it was in past generations. And a lot of people don't know correct. So they were to drugs, alcohol, trying to make money, just focusing on work or focusing in school, or just trying to ignore it. Yeah. Where as far as our Vent program, we want to encourage people to talk about it. Vent, whether that be in prayer, expressing your emotions through art, actually talking to a therapist, which I would highly suggest, or your best friend, someone that you trust that can hold all that information and all that, and hold that weight of those emotions that you're feeling, right? And so, in aspect of that, we wanted to figure out a way how we could really help. Because, like I said, we're all about solutions. We're not about just putting out love each other. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to, we don't want to be just a page where people just talk about all kinds of positive things. We want to actually provide solutions. So we came up with the Vent program to help fund people towards pursuing those spaces that can actually help other individuals and helping people who are in need.
Yes, sir. Well, I appreciate you again, my brother, for coming on today and giving us some information about World Apparel Co. And last but not least, before we close out, where can we find the clothing for World Apparel Co. And also where can you find updated information about World Apparel Co.?
Yeah, you can check out our websites. We have worldapparelco.com. You can check out all the apparel. You can click on the team, find out our bio, look at everyone who's on the team. And you can also check us out at worldmissions.work. That's where we put all our information about our mission trips, our team members, our partners. And if you want to join the team, you can fill that out. On social media, you can see us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at World Apparel Co. And we'll hit you up, DM us, talk to us.
All right. Sir, well, thank you again, my brother, for taking the time out today to have this conversation and discussion with us. Mental health is a very, very important topic, and we could go on and on and on about what is needed and how we can discuss solutions. But I do thank you again for taking the time out to have this discussion, and you have a great rest of your night.
Thank you all for having me.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you for joining us today and tuning into NNV News. Please share your thoughts with us in the comment section below. Follow us on social media at NNV News, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel, National Network View. This is Tariq X with National Network View News.
Be a part of the force that powers truth in journalism. Go to nnvnews.com/donate.